Hey everybody, Mr. Kindel here. In honor of Haitian Heritage Month, I'd like to read you a story called Auntie Lucy's Talking Paintings. Auntie Luce's Talking Paintings. In my mother's bedroom, behind the family pictures and the jar that holds her wedding day flowers, a painting sits on the shelf. It's a painting of me, my eyes almost closed like I'm dreaming. My braids hang like coal-colored ropes. My face fills the frame, so big and so close that if you look long enough, it starts to look like a whole land. Brown hills melting into yellow valleys, melting into red riverbeds, and even the river's silver light running smooth over the rocks. When I think back to the first time my Auntie Luce painted me, I lose myself in the memory of people and places she brings to life with her brushes. Fortresses and high cliffs and crayon-colored boats by the sea. Gingerbread houses and coconuts poked with straws for coconut water. When I want to hear the stories of Haiti, the place where my mother was born, I talk to Aunt Lucy's paintings. The paintings always talk back. My mother says I was too young to remember Auntie Luce painted me. You're only 7, but I do remember. It is December, the time of the year when I leave the snow and snowman making behind. I step onto an airplane, and when I step off, a wall of heat wraps my body and instantly warms my blood. Inside the airport, Auntie Luce waves me to her, and the metal bracelets along her arms start to sing. My first question is always the same. Can I sit for you, Auntie Luce? Will you paint me this time, please? Oui, she says, cupping my cheeks, but not answering my question. She opens the trunk and makes room for my suitcase, pushing the pallets and clinking jars to one side. Then we drive through city streets and familiar scenes fly by my open window. There go the boys selling water ice by the pink cathedral. There go the market women balancing fruit baskets on their heads. There go the tap-tap buses painted with soccer stars and signs that say, "We are the children of Guinea of West Africa." Soon the city falls under our feet, and fog carpets the mountain road to the house. As we climb the hills, a question comes to me. When Mom left for the States, why didn't you come? Your mother and I are different, she says. When I close my eyes for good, I want Haiti to be the last thing I see. I help bring the easels and sacks filled with paint tubes and rags. Auntie Luce doesn't waste any time quizzing me on last year's lessons. Haiti, the land of the mountains. That was the name of the place before the Europeans came. She snaps vanilla beans into a pot of oatmeal. Before the Spanish and the French. Before your mother. She doesn't tell you these stories? At home, my parents play old compa records with friends late into the night. They argue over how Haiti got broken and how it can be fixed. My brother and I listen from the top of the stairs. They tell stories about crooked presidents and bad armies. I say, is that true? Auntie Luce slides a placemat onto the table and sets down the bowl. The truth is a hard thing to untangle, she says, like a big knot of yarn. To tell the truth about this place, this tiny, tiny place, you have to look at its strong, powerful neighbor. You have to look at America. We put black mushrooms in a pot to soak for dinner. Then we tie our smocks and take a familiar walk down the stone path, past the chickens, and into the garden of chupac flowers, into Auntie Luce's studio. Inside, Haiti's heroes greet me, Belair and Flan, her head wrapped in white, her needle stitching a new flag for a free nation. I see Dessalines and Louverture, the general who found a way to win and force Napoleon back across the ocean. You remember what Louverture means? She asks. I can never forget. The opening, I say. The man who opened the way. My own heroes are here too. My grandfather, the tailor who made suits for the businessmen in town. My great-grandmother, who wore her hair parted in 2 buns and went blind from old age. If these paintings could talk, I wonder what they would tell me. With my slow, broken Creole, would they know I am their daughter? Chita, she says, pulling a metal stool to the middle of the floor. And when the moment comes, and when I finally sit for my first portrait, I realize something. Want to be painted is one thing. Sitting to be painted is another. I can feel my legs twitching, and then my arms. To keep my neck from tilting, I stop talking and my jaw locks. For a while, the painting knife and my auntie's singing bracelets are the only sounds in the room. Do you know why I paint? She asks after a long silence. Never thought about that. Because you're good at it? She laughs deep in her throat, then mixes more reds and browns. Because Haiti is so beautiful? I asked. Not always, she says. Sometimes it's almost hard to look at. I paint to remember what I've seen and heard and smelled and felt. The balconies wrapped around houses which seemed to go on forever. The fists pounding on neighborhood doors and sending people into hiding. To paint Haiti takes the darkest colors and the brightest ones, and all the colors in between. In 2 days of sitting, Auntie Luxe paints me from many different angles. On one easel, I can see myself turned completely to the side. In my face, I see colors I've never seen in a mirror. The caramel in my great-grandmother's skin and the deep berry in my grandfather's. I see colors of metal roofs over houses with no upstairs or downstairs. I see ash of earthquake dust. From that time, the ground shook and opened up. Auntie Luxe says our faces are like maps. I can trace yours halfway around the world, from the kingdoms of Benin to the sugarcane fields that turned into battlefields, where we fought to the death for our freedom, she says, all the way to this room in this light. I gather the brushes in a rag and follow my aunt to the washroom. Over the sink, I let the colors bleed together in the water, ash to cocoa to rust, butterscotch to nut, and nut to clay. You paint to remember Haiti, I say. But I don't feel Haitian enough. Sometimes I don't even feel American enough. Auntie Luxe holds out her hands. Try not to think of it as one or the other, but both together, she says. You were born outside, that's true. But if you hold this place in your skin, deep in your bones, colors do not lie. Her hands remind me of my mother's, lean but also strong. Brown on brown, she folds mine into hers. I wonder what my hands would do when I'm older. I wonder what stories they will tell. Can I take it home, Auntie Luxe? Can I keep the portrait? Oui, she says. It's yours. These colors, like this people, this place belongs to you, and you belong to them, always. Happy Haitian Heritage Month. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.